Hello guys, welcome back to a new tutorial series on Android. So I already have a tutorial series on Android, but I recreate the entire tutorial series because many of the methods are deprecated and a lot of new APIs are available. Also there is some changes on the developing environment. That's why I recreate the entire tutorial series for you. So in the first episode of this tutorial series, we are going to create our first application in Android. So if you are a beginner in Android, you have to install Android SDK and Android Studio. I already created a video that contains the full demonstration of how to install Android SDK and Android Studio. You can watch that video by clicking the link provided on this video now. Okay, now I hope you already installed Android Studio on your computer. Now we can begin the first application development with Android Studio. So we have to start Android Studio first. So click the start menu and select all programs and find out the folder called Android Studio. Now you can start Android Studio from here. Okay, now from this window select start a new Android Studio project. Yeah, now another window is appear. In this window you have to specify an application name and a company domain. So this is our first application, so I name the application as first application. Second one is you have to specify a company domain. So this will represent a package in our project. So here I change that one into ABCD. If you want to publish this application into Google Play Store, you have to specify a valid company domain. For learning purpose, you can specify anything with the com. I change it into easy way to in. Yeah. And here is the project location. It is available on user folder. There is a folder called Android Studio project, and inside that folder there is another folder with your application name, and click next. Yeah, here you have to specify the project category. You can create Android application for phone or tablet. You can create Android application for TV. You can create application for VR devices. So our first application is based on phone or tablet. That's why I select the first option. And here you have to specify the minimum Android version needed to run your application. This is very important. So here by default it is Android version 2.0. If you select Android version 2.0, your application is capable of running on 100% devices now currently registered with the Google Play Store. Suppose I change this one into a latest one, KitKat. Now here, see, now the percentage is 24.5. Only 24.5 percentage of devices are capable of running my application in Google Play Store. So this is very important. If you want to make your application more famous, you have to specify an older, very older version of Android as the minimum SDK. That is very important. And click next. Yeah, now here you have to specify the activity. If you are a beginner in Android, you may confused about the term activity. In Android, the GUI components, or we can say that the activity is the basic building block of an Android application. An Android application contains a number of activity. For example, your Facebook login page is an activity. Your Twitter login page is an activity. So the activity contains two files. First one is the GUI. The GUI is represented by using XML files, and second one is a background file, which is a Java class file that hold all the logic of your application. Your business logic, your program logic are handled by the background running Java class file, and the GUI components are handled by an XML file. So here we are going to create a blank activity. So select this option, create blank activity, and click next. Now here you have to specify activity name, layout name, title, menu resource name. First one is the activity name. So the activity name is always represent a Java class file, Java class name in your application. So you have to follow the Java naming conversions, class naming conversions while naming the activity. So it represents a Java class file. So you have to start the name with a capital letter. If there is more than one word present on the activity name, you have to separate the word with the capital letter. So I change it into first activity. See, this is a class name, that's why I put first F with the capital and activity A is capital. This is the class name in our project. And second one is a layout name. A layout name represent an XML file in our project. So you have to specify the layout name always in small letters. Now it is activity first. I change that into first layout. Always use small letters to represent the layout. I change it into first layout. Now here is the title of your activity. I change the title into greetings. Okay. Now here there is another, this is also represent an XML file. This will represent a menu in our application. Now there is no need to care anything about it. Okay, now click finish. Okay, now Android Studio create our first application, and now our first application is available on Android Studio. I already told you there are two files associated with each activity in Android. First one is a Java class file and second one is an XML file. So the two files are now available on the Project Explorer. The first activity.java, this is the Java class file, and this is the XML file. This is the XML file represents the GUI of our application. So now look at to the GUI of our first application. There is a label is available. This is a label, or we can say it is a text view. The text view is similar to a label in Java. So there is a greeting message is already available in this application. You can see it is hello world. Now at the bottom of this Project Explorer, at the bottom of this workspace, you can see there are two options, design and text. Design, now the appearance is in design mode. Now I change it into text. This is the XML file represents the GUI. There is a text view is present and that contain a simple message hello world. Okay, so I just delete this text view. We can create it again. I just delete the text view available with the layout. I just remove that one and I close these two files. First we have to find out where we can find out these files on our project. So I already told you there are two files available within each activity in Android. First one is a Java class file and second one is an XML file that represents our GUI. So you can find out the Java class file from this folder. There is a folder called Java. From this folder, expand that folder, and in that folder we can see here is a package or package name easywaytoin.com and our application name, and expand that package name. This is the Java class file associated with the activity. So open that one. Yeah, this is the Java class file of our activity. Now we can find out the layout file. You can find out the layout file from the resource folder, and inside the resource folder there is a folder called layout, and you can find out all the layout of your activities inside this folder layout. So this is our layout file, first layout.xml file. Okay, now our layout contain nothing. There is nothing on this layout. Go to the XML version. This is a relative layout. Okay, so our first application is an hello world application. We have to display a greeting message on the screen. That is our first target. So we have to add a label to our XML file. That means our GUI. So here I am going to add a label. In Android, we have to use a text view to represent a label. So here I am going to add a text view. So use the tab text view. Okay. First you have to specify the layout, width and height of the view component. Text view is a view component which is much similar to a label in Java. So first thing, you have to specify what is the width and what is the height of this component. So here I change the width into wrap content. Wrap content means the width is equal to the content, the width content. That means the width of the content, the width of the text. Now you have to specify the height of the layout. Also I make it into wrap content. So now the width and height is proportional to the content of the text view. Okay. Now we have to specify some text for this text view. So use this one, Android, put a colon and text. And I specify some message. Greetings appear here. Okay, greetings appear here. And now look at the design. Now here we have a text view in our GUI that contain a text, greetings appear here. Now go to the XML version again. Okay. Now I want to change that message, greeting appear here, with my message. So we have to specify a unique identifier to represent this text view. So that is the next step. So now here I am going to add a unique identifier for this text view. So you can put the identifier by using the tag ID. Now use this one at plus ID. Now you have to specify a unique identifier to identify this text view. So I name it as greetings text view. Okay. Now we simply add a text view into the GUI. We specify the width, height. Also we just put some text for the text view, and finally we add some ID to identify the text view. Okay. So now we have to add a button. So when user click the button, we have to display the greeting message using this text view. So that is the next step. So for adding a button, use this tag button. Here also the same thing, you have to specify some width and height for the button. Here I change the width into match parent. That means the width is proportional with the parent. Here the parent is the relative layout, and height into wrap content. Okay. Now here I am going to specify some text for the button. So Android text show greetings. Now go to the design. Now here a button is available on our GUI, but the button is above the text view. We can't see the text view now because now button is placed above the text view. So we have to align the button below the text view. So go to the XML version again. Now we have to align, we have to move the button below this text view. So you have to use Android another tag layout. There is an option called layout below. Use this one, layout below, and we have to align this button below to this text view. So use the ID of the text view. The ID of this text view is greeting text. So use that one. Now look at the design. Now here we can see that now the button is appear below the text view. Okay. So whenever user click this button, we have to change this message with our greeting message. That is our target. So we have to make some listeners for this button. For that we have to add a method for this button. So here I am going to add an onClick method for this button. So use this method onClick and specify any method name. I name it as show greetings. Okay, this is a method available. This is a method we have to create on the class file associated with this layout. Okay, the method name is show greetings. So now the next step, we have to define this method on the Java file, Java class file. So go to the Java file. This is a Java class file. It already contains some Java codes. There is a method called onCreate option menu, on option item selected. Of course, there is a lot of methods are available in this Java class. Okay, now you have to take only care about this method onCreate. There are some lifecycle method for each activity in Android. The onCreate is one of the lifecycle method of an activity. We have to learn the lifecycle method of an activity. We will learn all the lifecycle methods in another episode. Okay, so when we start the activity for the first time, the Android system call this method onCreate method. And here it calls some superclass constructor, and after that there is a method called set content view. This statement actually connect this Java class file with the XML file, XML layout. Our XML layout file is first layout. Here you can see that set content view R is an automatically generated Java class file that contain all the resource in our application. Okay, so R dot the layout is the XML file is available on the layout folder. That's why here put layout r.layout, and the XML file name is first layout. That's why here we connect this Java class file with this XML file. Okay, so now we have to define that method, the onClick method of the button. The method name is show greetings. Now we have to define this method on the Java class file. So now here I am going to create that method. Public void display, what is that method name? Yeah, show greetings. This is the method name. Show greetings. Okay, now the action listener, the onClick method of every view components in Android is associated with an object called the view. So whenever we click a button, the Android system automatically create an object of view class. So you have to create an argument to handle that particular object. So here you have to specify an object of view class. Is very important. Okay, so whenever user click the button on the XML file, whenever user click the show greeting button, this method will invoke. Show greeting method will invoke. You need to add this argument. It is very important. Okay, now we have to change this message with our greeting message. So we need to create an object of text view here. So here I am going to create an object of text view. I name it as text view. Now we have to initialize this text view. That means we have to connect this object reference with our GUI, with our view component available on the XML file. The ID of the text view is greeting text view. We have to use this ID to connect this text view with the object reference on the Java file. So we have to initialize this text view now, and always make sure that you have to put all the statement after this statement set content view, otherwise your application is not going to run. So here I am going to initialize the text view object, text view equal to, there is a method called find view by ID, and the same thing you have to call that resource Java class file. It is r dot and here we are going to use that resource using an ID. So r.id dot our text view ID is greeting text view, so use that one. Okay, this is an object, so you have to typecast it into corresponding class. So here the class name is text view. Okay, now we have the text view object in our Java class. Now we can, whenever user click the button, we have to change the message available on the text view. So here I am going to add a message, string message equal to welcome to my first app. Okay, now we have to change the message on the text view. So now the text view object reference is text view. So text view dot call the method called set text and specify the message. Okay, now we complete all the coding to display the greeting message. So when user run the application, user has to click this button, so the greeting message will appear here. Okay, now we have to run the program, run the application. So you can use a virtual device with Android SDK, but here I'm going to use the Genymotion virtual device. So I open the Genymotion virtual device manager. I already created a video about how to install Genymotion and how to configure Genymotion virtual device with Android Studio. You can find out the video from the link provided on this video. It is much faster than the normal Android virtual device available with Android SDK. It is much faster. So now I am going to start one virtual device. Okay, now my virtual device is ready. Now I am going to run the application. So click the run button at the top of the Android Studio. So click the run button. Okay, now the application is available on the virtual device. Now there is a button is present, show greetings, and here is the default message with the text view greeting appear here. Okay, now I am going to click the button. Now here we got our greeting message on the text view. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please create your first Android application with Android Studio now. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel now for getting more Android tutorial with Android Studio. See you in the next episode.